There's a really strange and, frankly, pretty concerning mystery playing out right in the middle of London. It involves some of the city's most famous residents. It's swans. So let's break down what's happening, why it's got so many people worried, and what the experts are trying to do to figure it all out.
Wow, it really doesn't get more chilling than that. This isn't some slow, hidden problem. People are literally watching these beautiful birds just collapse and die in a matter of minutes. It's an incredibly upsetting thing to witness, and it's all happening out in the open.
And we're not talking about just one or two isolated incidents here. The official count from the folks at the Canal and River Trust is already over 30 dead swans, all collected in just a few days. When you see a number that high, that fast, you know something is seriously wrong, and it's exactly why a major investigation has kicked off. So where is this all going down? Well, this isn't in some far-off nature reserve. It's happening in the busy, bustling waterways right around Canary Wharf. It's unfolding right next to massive office buildings, apartment blocks, and public paths where families and their kids usually come to see these very swans. And to get super specific, we're talking about the West India and Millwall docks. For thousands and thousands of Londoners, this is a familiar scene. And the swans, well, they're more than just birds. They're a protected, beloved part of the scenery, which makes seeing them die so suddenly even more shocking for everyone in the area. So what on earth could cause something so deadly, so fast? Well, for the authorities, one big suspect immediately jumps to the top of the list. Avian influenza, bird flu. Just the possibility of an outbreak raises the stakes big time and sets off a very specific, very urgent response. And for anyone who isn't totally sure what we mean by bird flu, it's basically a virus that naturally circulates among wild birds. Now, there are a lot of different strains, but some of them are incredibly infectious and deadly. They can spread like wildfire through a bird population and cause exactly the kind of mass die-off we might be seeing here. But we're hearing from people on the ground that something about this just feels different. A volunteer from the Swan Sanctuary, someone who's seen bird flu before, mentioned that this seems to be way more severe. And what's really worrying is that it seems to be hitting the youngest swans, the cygnets, particularly hard. Okay, so when something on this scale happens, it obviously triggers a massive official response. A whole multi-agency operation kicks into gear, and it's pretty interesting to see exactly who's doing what to try and get to the bottom of this. The whole process is really methodical, and it's all designed to be safe and accurate. First, it all starts with reports from the public. That part is absolutely crucial. Then, a specialist team comes in to remove the carcasses to stop any potential spread. From there, the key science agency, APHA, swoops in to collect samples. And that final step, the lab testing, is where we'll hopefully get a real answer. And this isn't just one group handling everything. It's a real team effort. You've got the Canal and River Trust, who manage the actual waterways. Then there's Defra, the big government environmental department that coordinates the whole thing. And finally, you have APHA. They're a specialist agency that handles all the critical scientific testing. Now, here's a really fascinating little detail about how these investigations work. The APHA doesn't actually have to test all 30-plus birds. Their protocol is to take a representative sample, so a maximum of 5 birds from that location for testing. It's a really efficient way for them to get the data they need to confirm what's going on. So, beyond all the official procedures and the science, there's a really profound human and animal cost. So let's take a look at the impact this is having on the people who are dealing with this crisis every single day, the wildlife rescuers. They're facing an unbelievably tough situation. This really shows you just how dramatically things change for rescuers. On a normal day, a sick bird gets brought inside a hospital, it gets care, and the goal is always to release it back into the wild. But the second bird flu is even suspected, that whole playbook gets thrown out. The birds have to be assessed outside in the car park, staff have to wear full protective gear, and the goal switches from treatment to containment. And that, unfortunately, forces some really heartbreaking decisions. And this quote from head vet Tom Lensel just drives home the grim reality for these rescuers. With a disease this contagious, they can't take any chances. Even a suspicion means they have to act to prevent a much bigger outbreak. They have to be vigilant, even if it means having to euthanize a bird they might have otherwise been able to save. So with all this happening, you're probably wondering, okay, what does this actually mean for me? Let's go through the official advice, because it's clear, it's simple, and it's really important. Okay, First things first, and this is the most important message from the UK Health Security Agency. The risk to the general public's health is considered to be very low. It's a disease that primarily affects birds, and thankfully, it doesn't just easily jump to people.
So the official advice is really straightforward. The big one. Do not, under any circumstances, touch any dead or sick birds. Keep your dogs on a leash and away from them too. If you find one, don't touch it, but do report it to the Defra helpline. And as a general rule, it's always a good idea to wash your hands after you've been around wild birds anyway.
But, and this is a big but, here's the twist in the story. While bird flu is absolutely the #1 suspect, it has not actually been confirmed yet. As of right now, the official cause is still unknown, which means this mystery is far from solved. And to add one more layer of intrigue to all this, there's a very recent precedent. Just this year, a similar situation with a cluster of dead water birds happened in another part of London. Everyone back then also thought it had to be bird flu, but when the APHA test results came back, they were negative for the dangerous strains. Which leaves us right back where we started, with this huge, hanging question. The lab results are still pending, and we have to wonder, is this another tragic bird flu outbreak, or is there another completely different story behind what's happening to the swans in London's Docklands? For now, all we can do is wait and see.